All right, well, I don't know how much more I can really show you other than the fact I was telling you before on another video, when you run your plywood across here, which way are you going to run it? You run your 4 feet from here this way, you're 8 feet across. Okay, it's always designed to run across, not 8 foot from here that way. It cracks me up. I've seen an HGTV shows every once in a while. They'll build something and they run actual 4x8 sheets of plywood and they run it that direction and not across. Well, if you use actual plywood, 4x8 sheets of plywood, the grains, it's stronger to run it this way. You don't want to run it 8 foot this way. You want to run it only 4 feet this way and 8 feet across all this, and that gives it its strength. Because if you run it the other way, this has a tendency to kind of push down when you're walking on it. You never want to do it that way, okay? And when they do their 4x8 sheets of OSB tongue and groove plywood, they'll run it from left to right. Okay, they'll run it from left to right, and then they'll put construction adhesive on these before they nail it down. And why do you do that? So your floor doesn't squeak. Years ago, they didn't used to do that. You'd nail it down, and then they got to this bright idea. Oh, we'll use different nails, ring shanked nails. We used to install plywood with ring shanked nails, and those were designed to not make your floor squeak, but you've got to, years ago they didn't put construction adhesive. Now you have to put construction adhesive. You just got to do that. So they'll be doing all that, and like I say, I don't really think the framers are going to be back for a while. They've got it up to a point. They don't have to come back until everything underneath the floor gets done, and then the inspectors will come out. And actually, the insulation will have to be in. So that when the structural inspector comes out, he's going to look at not only the framing, he's also going to look at the insulation before he says, okay, you can cover. Now, if they didn't put the insulation, he could say, okay, you can cover, but I'm going to have to crawl underneath the house and look and make sure you've got the insulation next time I'm out here. So that's why I'm thinking that they're going to be installing insulation after they get everything else done. And like I said, air conditioning under here. Lots of times they don't put air conditioning under floors. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Lots of times at your house, do you have air registers up on your ceiling coming down, or do you have them in the floor? If you have a concrete floor, subfloor, obviously they're coming from the top down. And it's cheaper to go from the top down, but it's actually better if it's underneath the floor, because when you turn your heater on, your heat rises, right? If you had all your registers in the ceiling, heat rises, then it takes that much more effort to get from your ceiling on down, beyond eye level, on down to the floor. Do you see what I mean? Because heat wants to stay up high. So if you have it down underneath the floor, it works out really good, because then it heats your room more evenly than registers on the ceiling. But then when your air conditioner goes on, obviously it's easier if you have your registers at the ceiling for air conditioner, because the cold air drops. You see what I mean? So with here, they're going to have everything on the floor, so the cold air is going to come up so far. How's it going to get up higher? You know what I mean? Unless you pump more air in more cold air into your room to get it up high enough so that your thermostat reads it to then shut it off. So in some areas it might be colder than others, and so there's pros and cons, I think, to having it either way, in your floor or in the ceiling. And that's all I got to say about that. Okay, so from time to time, after the workers get done at night, I can come here and, hey, I can talk as long as I want. I can show you whatever I want to show you before it gets dark all the way. You know what I mean? And like I said, the building contractor, he's fine with me coming out here. So I wanted to try my best to come out here as often as I can after they get done each day. I might come here 2 or 3 times a week, let's say, after they leave, and then talk and show you what they've been up to, what's going on next, and all that. Okay, so, you know, just to go a little further, once they install all the plywood, then they'll go around, and that's going to be time for them to start building the walls. And speaking of building the walls, this was the other thing I was going to tell you. If they decide to run the plumbing now, the sewer lines and the hot and cold water and all that kind of stuff, what do you suppose they have to do? Where do they know where to put it? They're going to have to lay this all out, interior walls. They're going to have to measure out, and then they'll have to put string, like from here to here, to mimic a 2x4 wall, let's say, or 2x6 wall, and go however far, so that they know where to come up wherever they go. You know, if they have some interior walls where some bathrooms are, even exterior walls, if they have exterior walls where bathrooms go, the showers go, the toilets go, all that kind of stuff, they'll have to pull strings. So, you know, yeah, it's going to be a little pain in the butt for them to do that, or they have to do everything and they have to crawl around underneath here and do it all later. So, you know, and then if you do it later, then what does that mean? If they did it later, what happens with the insulation? And you see what I'm saying? It's the chicken or the egg type thing. You cannot install the insulation until you do your plumbing later. If you were the insulation guy, would you want to install this insulation underneath and have to crawl around and pull it around and lift it up over your head and be on your hands and knees and lift it up there? Or would you rather walk around here and staple it and cut it and fish it down here and walk along all this nice stuff? You see what I mean? And so that's why I think they're going to do all their plumbing first, and the sewer drain lines and all that kind of stuff. I don't know where the sewer outlet is. Usually they dig a hole and they'll have a place for their pipe, or maybe a little section of pipe is installed underneath a footing or something like that, so that they can tie in, you know, the lowest point or whatever. They got to figure out where the sewer connection is out there, and I didn't see it before, and maybe there's a line that's already dug in there, and that sewer pipe might already be installed from there over into here, and all they have to do is dig into it, is connect into it wherever it is, and then all of this will all drain and slope properly down to the sewer line or something like that. All these types of things you got to think about beforehand, you know. So again, you read the set of plans. The plans will tell you just about everything you want to know, right? Now, speaking of the plans, let's go one step further. Speaking of the plans, did you know? And it's really odd that on plans, they might show where your sinks are going to go, where your showers are going to go, where your water heater is going to go, but they may not show exactly what size pipes, you know, 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch hot and cold water, but then you go further and maybe you need a 5/8 water line or 3/4 water line to have enough pressure to pressurize everything. You can't just run 1/2 inch on the whole thing and expect to get the same flow. But there's none of that that's shown on the plans on that, or electrical. Even for electrical, it'll show you where your electrical outlets are going to be, where your light switches are going to be, where your ceiling fans are going to be, where your light fixtures are going to be, and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't show how many electrical outlets are going to be on this circuit, and what type of circuit is it going to be a 15 amp circuit, is it going to be a 20 amp circuit, is it going to be 14 wire, 14 gauge wire, 12 gauge wire for 20 amp circuits. It doesn't show you any of that, which I find is really odd, because on commercial plants, whenever I did commercial work years ago, we would have to show everything, and everything would have to go, okay, this electrical outlet is connected over to the next one, is connected over to the next one, is connected over to the next one, and from there it zips over to the electrical panel, and here's the electrical panel. We have to show a schematic of the electrical panel and how many circuit breakers we can have in there and how many amps of the electrical panel and all that kind of stuff. And the inspectors would check all that before they approved your set of plans. Same thing with air conditioning. You had to show what size air conditioning unit you were going to have up on the roof, what the tonnage was, whether or not you needed to put more beams up there. We always had to install extra beams up there for extra added weight for your air conditioner unit, and then it showed where each one went, and it showed the supply lines and what size pipes for over here and what size over here, and reduced down to here, and dampers here and dampers there. And on residential plants, they don't show any of that. It's really funny how that works. Hey, it's starting to rain now. But anyways, I've got a set of plans at home. One of these days, I'll pull out my set of plans for the house that I'm at, and I'll show you on the plans that there's no schematics, nothing for what size pipes or anything like what I was just saying. Same thing for electrical. And so, you know, when the electrician comes out here, he's got to figure it all out on his own. When the air conditioning guy comes out here, he's got to figure it out all on his own. When the plumber comes here, he's got to figure it out all on his own. And when the inspectors come, they don't tell him what size pipes to install and stuff. They just look at it to make sure that the pipes were installed properly, that they were strapped properly, that they are supported properly inside the walls, and that the electrical outlets, the wiring is supported properly, and it's routed properly, and all that kind of stuff. They won't tell you, oh, hey, you added 2 extra electrical outlets on this circuit when you shouldn't have. Take those out and move them. No, they don't do any of that. Okay, so it's very odd how that works on residential. Just wanted to let you know that, so that when if you're an owner builder and you get an electrician out there, you get 3 electrical bids. You're going to get 3 different prices because the electrician's going to figure out how he's going to do it. Same thing with air conditioning. The air conditioning guys, he's going to figure out how he's going to do it, how he can do it a little bit cheaper as opposed to the next guy and the next guy. And so it's hard to get apples to apples and oranges to oranges when you're looking at it, because not all that stuff is going to be shown. You know, which brand air conditioner is going to be used. Well, maybe one is more expensive than another. One guy uses a cheaper one guy uses an expensive one. The guy who used the expensive one, now he just outbid himself because the other guy's using a cheaper one or something like that. You see what I mean? So you just have to be aware of that and move forward that way, and hope, you know, if you're getting prices, make sure you get prices from 2 or 3 different guys, and make sure that you trust whoever you end up using to do your different subcontracting, especially if it's not shown exactly like for like on the plans. All right, my time is up. It's starting to rain on me. Well, that's all I got for this time, but I'll be back. Let's see where I get the light. Ah, there we go. That's a little better. I'll be back with more videos, and I hope you continue watching this, because I'm going to put a whole video series together on building this house from here on out, and hopefully you'll get to learn all kinds of different things on how to build a house, and it might help you with designing your house, or with building your house, or with coordinating your different subcontractors. Well, I'll talk about scheduling and stuff like that another time. Okay, so I'm kind of excited to be able to do this. It's fairly close to where I live, and the contractor said I can do it. So hey, I am going to invest my time for you. Did you just see that big piece of lightning that just went? I don't know if you saw that or not. We're going to hear the thunder here in a minute. Come on. easy there. Oh, that's because I saw that lightning. That's how long it took to come over here. All right, I'll catch you next time.